Adam Johnson is reunited with his daughter, 4, after midnight release from 3-year prison term as paedophile ex-footballer's ex hits the gym and father beams, "We're glad to have him home." Adam Johnson is back at his £2 million mansion after he was released from prison in the early hours and driven home in a blacked-out Mercedes van. The footballer's ex-girlfriend Stacey Flounders, the mother of his child, headed to the gym this morning while their 4-year-old daughter, La, was reunited with him at his home. Johnson's father, Dave Johnson, drove him away from HMP Moorland just after midnight and his van later arrived at the footballer's home in an upmarket village in County Durham. Speaking to Mail Online this morning, his father said, "We are glad to have him home." Johnson's sister Faye has been planning a party for him and was this week seen buying welcome home balloons at a local shop. The former Sunderland winger, now 31, served just half of the 6-year sentence behind bars. He was jailed for grooming, kissing and touching a 15-year-old fan. He remains on license and, as part of his release conditions, he will no longer be permitted to spend time alone with his daughter. Johnson, who once played for England, now faces an uphill battle to try to resurrect his football career, after all of the Football League clubs in the area of his home told the Mail they would not contemplate signing him. It is understood Johnson has to meet with probation workers today. He has not been issued with a criminal tag but will be subject to strict license conditions, including keeping in touch with the supervisor and living permanently at his address. He will only be allowed to take up work if his supervisor approves it, and police will examine any overseas travel plans before he is allowed to leave the UK. Johnson will also have more stringent conditions under the terms of the Sex Offenders Register, which he will sign for at least 15 years. As well as not being permitted to see his daughter or other children unsupervised, he will have to hand over his bank card in order to prevent him accessing paid-for porn sites. Johnson's 7-bedroom home is said to have a bowling alley, swimming pool and football nets in the back garden. He lives 100 yards away from his father and mother, Sonia. His sister Faye also lives in the village. The home Johnson shared with his ex-girlfriend Stacey Flounders and their daughter at the time of his arrest has since been bought by cricketer Ben Stokes. A neighbor said, "He has been a stupid boy but he has served his time in prison and he's entitled to start again. What he did was very foolish of course but there are much worse crimes committed." Johnson was jailed at Bradford Crown Court in 2016 for engaging in sexual activity with the besotted 15-year-old fan in 2016. He admitted kissing the girl but denied her claim that he touched her inside her pants and that she then performed oral sex on him. A jury found him guilty of sexual activity with the child in relation to digital penetration but cleared him of the same offence relating to the oral sex. He had already admitted another charge of sexual activity with the child in relation to kissing and also of grooming the girl. The judge said Johnson had lied repeatedly, referring to the controversy over whether he delayed his guilty pleas to enable him to continue his £60,000 career with Sunderland. His trial heard that he deleted 800 messages between him and his victim, who he is also banned from contacting. Following his release, he will also have to hand over his phone to officials without surrender and could be recalled to jail if he deletes anything without their knowledge. Johnson will now have to wait 15 years before he can apply to come off the sex offenders register. He has also been told that Football League's clubs will not go near him after Sportsmail contacted the clubs of his local area in Durham. Not one of the League One nor League Two clubs within a daily commute of Johnson's home in County Durham said they would consider speaking to him. One chief executive said he could not envisage any Football League club offering the 31-year-old a way back into the game given the nature of his conviction and the backlash it would cause. Sportsmail also discovered that Johnson will be denied the chance of a payday in China because of strict visa requirements to work in the country. In a leaked video from his time in prison, he said that he had more hope of reviving his playing career abroad, and the likes of the Chinese Super League have been mooted. Back in January, Johnson's sister Faye tweeted that she can finally say "My brother is coming home this year." Johnson is set to remain under license conditions until the conclusion of his full jail term in 2022. Adam Johnson case, a timeline. 2014. December, Johnson and his victim start exchanging messages online. She tells him she has only just turned 15. 2015. 17 January, Johnson's first meeting with the girl where he signs 2 football shirts for her. 30 January, Johnson meets girl for a second time. He says they kissed. She alleges more serious sexual activity took place. 25 February, girl hoped to meet Johnson but he pulls out saying he can't leave home. Girls tells parents about their meetings. 26 February, girl and her mother go to police. 2 March, Johnson is arrested at his home on suspicion of having sexual activity with a 15-year-old girl. Player is suspended from playing pending the outcome of a police investigation. 18 March, his bail is extended and his suspension from playing for his club is lifted. 4 May, Johnson, his lawyer and his father hold meeting with the club telling them that he has confessed to messaging the 15-year-old and kissing her. He continues to be allowed to play. 24 May, Sunderland avoid relegation and Johnson heads off on stag do to Dubai. 3 June, Johnson formally pleads not guilty to 3 counts of sexual activity with a child and another count of grooming at Durham Crown Court. 2016. 6 February, Johnson plays his final game for Sunderland, scoring and throwing his shirt into the crowd. 10 February, Johnson pleads guilty to 1 count of sexual activity with a child and 1 count of grooming. 11 February, Sunderland sack Johnson. 12 February, player's trial begins. 2 March, Johnson is found guilty of sexual activity with a 15-year-old. 24 March, Johnson is jailed for 6 years. 2017. 16 March, Johnson loses an appeal against his conviction. 2019. 22 March, Johnson is released from prison halfway through his sentence.